Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Sunrise Auctions based in Japan. We're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is the spring auction. Looks like there's about 80 or so lots on this auction, so a bit more than usual. Back to our old friends Sunrise. A lot of the lots here are similar to what we've seen before, but there are some new things as well, which is very good to see. So you might have noticed that I've not posted a video for a few days, maybe 5 or 6 days. That's because March was so insane. I needed a little bit of a break, and then also because after March it's pretty dead in April, so we have to pace these auctions out a bit. So before we begin, I just want to say if you do enjoy these videos, please subscribe, like or comment, because it really does help quite a lot and I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, we have the Sunrise Spring Auction. This is ending on the 13th and 14th of April. It's the 4th today, so a while to go. You can see 8 and 9 days. For some reason they always have a bit of a staggered auction for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the timings, the hours or something like that. Buyer's premium is 17% up to 1 million yen, and then past 1 million yen it's 15. Goes even lower if you go below 10, if you go above 10 million yen, but I don't think there's anything in this auction that's gonna get near that. No, I don't think so. 2.9 is the highest there, so 15% will be your lowest, 17% your highest. As this is an auction based in Japan, check all the details, kind of shipping, kind of import, export, all of that stuff, any CITES restrictions, all of that fun. So without further ado, let's just get on with it and see what we've got, and let's just crack through it. A lot of this stuff will be the same. Auction catalogue, we don't really need to look at that too much. This Jelovec book's been there for a while, same with this one. And the Luteria Italiana double case there, it's got a bid on it. Chin rest and tail piece, I think we've seen that before as well. Chin rest and nothing too crazy. Another boxwood violin chin rest, oh, it's got a bid on it. Wooden violin case, no bids on that. Another wood violin case. Oh, a few bow cases there, okay, that's interesting. 5 to 8,000 yen. It's not super expensive, that's kind of like 30 to 50 pounds or something. A violin case with inlay work, okay, let's have a look at that. Once again, that's about 30 to 50 pounds, the estimate on that. Loading up, pretty detailed. It's actually quite nice, as cases go. Yeah, not bad, quite like that. Unexpected, I did not expect to see that. Have we got any other pictures? Yeah, interesting, looks like someone's just done up an old case there, quite nice. A wooden double violin case there. So I do quite like these old cases. Another wood violin case. I didn't realise there's so many violin cases. Boxwood chin rest. Wow, okay, 30 to 40,000 the estimate. It's already got a bid on it. Okay, by Gerald Crowson, made in England. Okay. Violin case, kind of newer BAM one there. Modern Hungarian cello sold with a Gewa case and a bow. I think we've seen this before. 350 to 450,000 yen. So it's fair amount. Nickel mounted Brazilian wood viola bow stamped N. Duchenne, 4 to 6,000 yen there. Kind of forget which bows are on here before. No stamped nickel mounted ebony frog mother of pearl, 30 to 50,000 yen there, so it's getting on the pricier side. Nickel mounted French viola bow by Prosper Colas, 150 to 200,000 yen, so we're in the higher level there. An old viola from a Viennese viola. I think this has actually been on here before. I'm pretty sure 700 to a million yen there, so it's a fair amount. Can't think of the higher calculations in my head at the moment, but it's a fair, not crazy amount, but it's a fair amount. Here's a violin bow stamped Sartre, Paris, with a broken head. There's already a bid of 1,000 yen on it there. Violin bows here, bids on those as well. Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact exchange rate at the moment, but 5,000 yen is about 30 pounds or so, a bit over 30 pounds. Nickel mounted Brazilian violin bow there, 4 to 6 on that. So you can kind of work it out from there, or use one of those XE exchange things. 10 to 15,000 yen on these bows. Children's bows, these have been here a long time. Some of this stuff has been here for almost probably 2 years now, without exaggeration. nickel mounted violin bow stamp PC Brazilian wood. A load of other bows here, we can skip past that. Nickel and ebony mounted violin bow, 30 to 50. Nickel and ebony mounted violin bow. Like, I am a bit unsure. Some of these bows I think might be new, but this, don't know, a lot of this stuff doesn't look super exciting. 30 to 50,000 yen on that. So it is a fair amount of money. Silver mounted modern violin bow stamped Leon PK. Nickel mounted German violin bow stamped and by Arnold Voigt, Mark Nikergen, 50 to 80,000. Don't underestimate German bows, they can be pretty good. German bow, violin bow by Otto Derschmidt there, 90 to 120,000. Silver and tortoiseshell mounted German violin bow stamped Egid Dorfler. Okay, interesting, 100 to 150,000 yen. Just bear in mind CITES restrictions with tortoiseshell stuff, probably not a great thing to try and take out of Japan or import somewhere else. Silver mounted violin bow by GL Panormo, Frog Later, 160 to 100, to 200. It's got a bit of a funny repair. We've seen this bow before, a bit of funny repair at the head. Nickel mounted French violin bow by Cuneo Eugene, Cuneo Huri, Miracle circa 1900, 200 to 300,000. So getting into the higher French bows. Nickel mounted French violin bow by Marc Lebert, 380 to 580,000 yen there. And some violins, 5 to 8,000 there. We just got some generic pictures here. I mean, could be right, depends how much it goes for. Like I said, at the moment that's kind of like 30 to 50 pounds or something like that, so it's not too bad. There's a bid on that. A violin, okay, 5 to 8,000. There's a bid on that so far. This I think is new. I don't remember seeing this before. So, don't know, interesting back. Scroll is kind of quite curious. Yep, don't know, it's hard to say really, but anyway, it's 5 to 8, not too crazy. A violin, another 5 to 8er. This one looks kind of interesting scroll there, but yeah, a bit unsure to exactly what this is. Looks like it's got a neck graft or something, so yeah, unsure about that. Another violin here, 8 to 10 on this one though. It looks like kind of similar varnish kind of deal to the past one. Once again, a bit unclear what's going on there. A violin, 8 to 10,000. This has a bid as well. So kind of curious. This one looks new, new as in new to this auction, and also looks kind of new. I do wonder if this might be an interesting F-hole layout. I wonder if this might be kind of Chinese or something. Be interesting if anyone has any thoughts on it. Bit of a curious looking one. Violin labelled Michael Deaconet. This also has a bid 10 to 15. Quite a lot of bids on Sunrise already. It's doing pretty well. Usually it's pretty quiet. They usually only sell a couple of things, so they're doing quite well. Violin labelled Zanoli. No bids on this one though. This, I can't remember if we've seen this one before or not, but there's definitely a lot more instruments on here that we haven't seen before. This is definitely new. A violin repaired by Lionel Glory, Glasgow, 1975. That's a pretty crazy scroll that it has on it. 10 to 15, and looks very much like amateur work. 10 to 15,000 yen. It's like, you know, £60 to 60 to 90. Guess it's not kind of super unreasonable, but it's a bit of odd. Here's one that's been here for years. Modern Japanese violin by Minazawa Minezo, 1971 with case. I quite like this. I think this is pretty cool. I really like the back on this. I think it's great. Really nice back. Not sure much about the maker. So the last Sunrise auction, I think they had a couple of violins by this maker, and they both sold, but they were in pretty good condition. As this one fortunately has the neck has come loose. Interesting instrument though, with some real individuality about it. Yeah, here the neck's broken, so that's instantly like a fair repair, but I mean, it's got a bid on it, so after a couple of years maybe it's finally going to sell. We'll see. But once again, it's 20,000. It's about over 100 kind of pounds there, but it's not too bad. Another one, a violin. I think we've seen this one before. This one has a bid as well, 20 to 30,000 yen. Yeah, this one we've seen quite a few times. This one has a bid, so there's a lot of activity on this. Curious looking one, and really hard to say what's going on with this one. French violin labelled Magini, 30 to 50, no bids on this. This looks like a typical kind of French violin of the time with a ridiculous back length of 367, so definitely French with that kind of length. Yeah, I mean, might suit some people. 30 to 50,000 yen, I guess it's not terrible. German violin labelled Guadagnini. This is one that we've seen before, I think, a couple of times. It definitely looks kind of familiar. Modern English violin. Now this is an interesting one here that's been on quite a few auctions. Sorry, quite a few of these repeat auctions with quite an interesting back there. This looks like this time it's had a bid, because it didn't have any bids the last kind of year or two that it's been on here, so that's interesting. So maybe that one might also sell. Interesting looking violin. German violin circa 1920. This one I don't know if I've seen before. 50 to 80,000 seems pretty crazy though, but it's got a certificate from Vatlo and Rampor. It'll be interesting to see what they say in that certificate. Looks very average to me. Modern French violin made in Mirko around 1920. Okay, 50 to 80,000 on that. Modern violin labelled Stradivarius, 60 to 80. Once again, a lot of these I'm kind of not really seeing anything super interesting. Violin labelled Carl Uschen Winterthur. This one is definitely 2 years or so. This has been here, 80 to 100,000. German violin labelled Stradivarius. This one could be new. I don't recall it. A lot of these are just not very exciting looking. 80 to 100,000. It's quite a lot really. French violin with unreadable label. This one doesn't look familiar. 80 to 100,000. Violin labelled Albert Caressa, Paris, 1948. This one also I'm not sure that I recognise. 80 to 100,000 on that. Modern French violin labelled Bourgogne Maurice, or Bourgogne, is that Bourguignon? Yeah, possibly that's Bourguignon. I'm pretty terrible at pronouncing things. 90 to 130. This still looks very standard to me. Modern German violin labelled Andreas Koch, circa 1940. Does look like a bit of a nicer violin than some of the others. 90 to 130,000 there. Let's see what else we got. Modern violin labelled JB Viome. This is another one that's been here quite a while. 120 to 150. Modern French violin labelled G. Apparoute, 1920. I'm not sure if we've seen this one before. 120 to 150 on that. Contemporary violin, possibly Italian, labelled Roberto del Garata, Facit in Lucca. 120 to 180 again, so that's a real speculative lot. German violin labelled Sanctus Seraphin. Once again, this one I think is also new. 120 to 150. Nothing too crazy there. European violin, circa 1900, labelled Postacchini. Looks very kind of rough. This one I think we've seen that a lot as well. German violin labelled JB Viome. I think this one has been at the rodeo before. Yeah, definitely with that. 130 to 180. Contemporary violin labelled Capulin Michel Cremona anno 1996. Once again, really difficult to know what's going on with some of these. An old German violin labelled Ballestieri. This was in at least a couple of the auctions, or at least one before. So, interesting enough violin there, but don't know, it's a bit of a arching is quite high on that. It's, you know, a select taste there, but probably is an 18th century violin there. Modern French violin, Clodeau School. This we've seen before, labelled Briggs, Glasgow, 1887. So, interesting that they say that it's a French violin, because you can get some pretty crazy Scottish violins. So, yeah, it's curious, maybe because of the varnish colour and that general outline in F-holes, but you never know. Modern violin, labelled Bernadelle. Pretty sure that we've seen this one before as well. Quite a nice scroll there, nice wood choice, 400 to 500,000. So we're getting into the higher level. Notice a lot of these more expensive ones don't have any bids. Contemporary Italian violin by Concetta Negrotti, Cremona, 2022. 450 to 600,000 yen there. A modern violin, possibly Italian, with handwritten label, Lazzaretti Francesco. Interesting wood choice there at the back. Once again, this one, not sure if we've seen before. 500 to 800,000 there. It's getting pretty serious now. Modern English violin, labelled Paul Bailey. This is another long-termer, but quite nice back on that violin. Actually, the work in general, the more time I look at this, I think it actually is a fairly nice looking violin, but probably worth looking at the condition report on this one. I feel that this is probably a really unfortunate grain line rather than a soundpost crack, but it could also be a soundpost crack. Worth kind of requesting the condition report on that. Contemporary Italian violin by Claudio Testoni, Mantova, 1990. 700 to 900,000 yen. Modern Italian violin by Mario Garda, 1995. Model of Ansaldo Poggi. I think this one's been here a while as well. Certificate from the maker, 1.15 to 1.3. Old German violin of the School of Joseph Klotz Mittenwald. This one as well we've seen a couple of times, I think. 1.4 to 1.6. Getting towards the end now. Modern violin, Venta Pane School, another one that's been here a while, 1.4 to 1.6. Interesting looking violin, but I'm not sure if I would want to spend that much on it. Old violin ascribed David Tekla. This one is another kind of lifer that's been in this auction forever. Once again, it's fairly kind of expensive for what it is. Has a load of certificates and things, but yeah, interesting enough, but maybe a bit much really. And the final one, I think, an Italian violin ascribed to Vincenzo Sanino, with I think possibly an extra N there. Napoli, circa 1900. Interesting F-hole shape, general workmanship and varnish. It's definitely curious, but 2.9 to 3.5 million yen there. It's starting to get fairly serious there. Let's have a quick look at this instrument a bit further. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting looking one. So yeah, basically that's it. So there we have it. We have the Sunrise auction. 80 lots in it, actually a lot more than before. Some new stuff we've not seen before, so that's really good. Kudos to Sunrise for bringing out some other things. Still some things that have been here for literally a couple of years, which is a bit worrying, but that happens sometimes. I guess the Japanese market's a bit smaller, but anyway, interesting auction. Put a link in the description as always. Check it out, see what you think. I think it's actually pretty interesting, to be fair, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like Subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.